Good afternoon and welcome to our monthly Springboard Customer Education Forum. We are really pleased to be here this afternoon and to have all of you on board with us. We have an exciting agenda for you this day and to serve you a power packed lunch. We have been serving this lunch over the past few months and had different webinars to educate and inform our customers, entrepreneurs, and business people all around the country and from out of the country about what they can do to empower their businesses. We have had a webinar on what to do during this COVID season, where business people and entrepreneurs shared ideas of what's happening around and what they can do to support each other. We have had a webinar on finance because we must talk about finances as business people and to see how these finances can be gathered, harnessed, and optimized. Then we talked about people because there are no businesses without the people that run them. How do we run our businesses effectively, manage our people, especially during these troubled and distressed times? Our last webinar was on customer experience because the customer really is the driver of business, and COVID has shown us without a doubt that there is no customer, there is no business. And today we are excited to talk about branding for business people. We need to talk about brands. How do we grow good brands? How do we grow sustainable brands? All of this is brought to you by Springboard Capital, your lending hand. We are in the financial services sector and we capitalize businesses to ensure that they are sustainable and they deliver on their promises and their dreams. My name is Carol Gagaru and I will be your host this afternoon. So to kick us off, now that I've told you what we're doing this lunchtime, and now that your plates will soon be full and you'll be eating a delicious meal of branding tips for entrepreneurs and business people, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our speaker for the day. Our speaker for the day is Kanyi Ohawa. Kanyi is the CEO of All Sundry, a bespoke, for those of you who know good English and great vocabulary, a bespoke design house. Bespoke means that they do customized things. They listen to the voices of customers and design and tailor make and custom make solutions for these customers. It's not just one shoe fits all, no. This is a bespoke design house. So they specialize in graphic design, branding, custom making gift solutions, custom invitations for events, social events, corporate events, all kinds of events. And the company has been in business for the past 17 years. For a company to withstand 17 years in business, this is a company that's onto something good. That's All and Sundry, and the CEO is here with us today, Kanyi Ohawa. Kanyi is a fine artist. She does all things good with her hands, with her eyes, and with her creative juices running. And she's participated in several entrepreneurial workshops and projects up to and including Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Program. She is very passionate about mentorship, about growing businesses, about sharing her gifts and her talents. And she's a certified competent communicator from Toastmasters International. You all need to know what Toastmasters is about. And once you've listened to Kanyi, you will surely want to know what that is about. So Kanyi has grown people under her wings and under her watch and under her thumbs. And today she wants to share with us what we can do to grow our businesses into powerful and formidable brands. Kanyi Ohawa, welcome. We'd love to hear from you this afternoon. The floor is yours, or should I say the screen is yours, the space is yours. Talk to us. Over to you, Kanyi.
Wow, thank you so much, Caroline, for that amazing intro. I feel like I need not say any more. Welcome, everyone. Like you had, my name is Kanyi Ohawa. I've been in the graphic design and branding space for slightly over 17 years. My company is about 17 years old. And I'm hoping that today I will teach you a little bit about what you can learn or what you can take away vis-a-vis branding your company and what branding will mean to you and the things that you need to think through and the things that you need to actually ask yourself as you embark or tweak this journey for yourself. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Hold on. And I want this to be an interactive session. So if you've got any questions that you want to ask, please let me know. We're going to have a question and answer session afterwards. Okay, so we'll start. So, like I said, my name is Kanyi Ohawa. Does this describe any of you? And I'm sure some of it describes some of you, because even some of this still describe who I am. The branding journey is not a never-ending journey. And so I'm not standing here as an expert per se, but as someone who's gone through a couple of experiences that I'm hoping to share with you and help you not do some of the things, some of the mistakes that I made. Does your company, you feel like your company doesn't stand out, or your customers don't get you, or you have a great product, but nobody knows? You know that saying, we'll build it, they'll come. Yeah, not so much anymore. I struggle to describe who we are to anyone. If that is any of you, have no fear, you're not alone. It's a lot of us. Before I go on, let me tell you a little bit about my company. I started in 2003, and my why, and I'm going to be asking about your why shortly, because I'm excellent about design. I'm excellent about all things design, mentorship, fine art, branding, and I thought I need to share this with the world. I am a creative solution provider, and we do that through the work that we do, through the graphic design and the branding services that we provide to people. This is some of the work that we've done before, some of the branding jobs that we've done, Biology and Wydera. You can look them up online. You'll see excellent brands that we've built. Love these. So, what is a brand and why is it important? Now, on your screen, you're going to see two cups of coffee. Yeah. One is unbranded and the other one is branded. Now, coffee is coffee, right? Yes. Coffee is what? Coffee, milk, and water, and maybe sugar, if you take sugar, right? What is the difference between the coffee in the left cup and the coffee in the right cup? Yeah. Also, a t-shirt is a t-shirt, correct? These two t-shirts are probably the same dye load, the same cut, the same weight. So what makes one more special than the other? The difference between a cup of coffee and a Java cup of coffee. The difference between a regular t-shirt and a Peperuka t-shirt. That difference is brand. Yeah, that is why you know that if you are to make a cup of coffee in your house, it will cost you maybe what, 30 shillings at most, if you factor in all your costs of the sugar, the milk, the water, the coffee, the coffee itself. Yet you will happily go to Java and buy a cup of coffee for 250 shillings, if that's what it costs now. I'm not sure. And why is that? And the reason is because you're buying into the brand, and there's a reason why you feel that that brand is worth 250 shillings to you, yet the product is the same. So that is what brand does. Brand differentiates you from everyone else. Yeah. And in a nutshell, what brand is what people feel about you, your product, or your service. Okay. Now I want you to think through, and sometimes you actually need to ask, like your good clients, pick like 3 or 4 of your favorite clients and ask them, what are the 3 words that they would use to describe you or your brand? That's a brilliant exercise to do, because sometimes you find that the brand you think you're putting out there is not what people are getting. It's not what people are getting of your brand. So you need to be able to bridge that gap between that disconnect. So I challenge you, ask 3 or 4 of your favorite clients, what are the 3 words that they would use to describe you or your brand? And maybe sometimes you're separate from the brand or you're the brand, okay? So how do you get people to feel a certain way about you and your brand? You have to be very, very deliberate about this, because if you don't put out the narrative will be created for you, and you never want to lose that kind of control over your brand. Yeah. So you need to define who you are. What's your why? The why is the most important, because people connect and buy into your why. Your why is your passion. Why did you get into the business that you are in? Why do you do what you do? Why are you giving the services that you're giving? You know, brand is more, I think, emotional than anything else. And that's why someone will tell you, well, I prefer, let's say, Coca-Cola to Fanta, because Coca-Cola, even if it's the same company, but they are very distinct brands. There's a way that Coke makes me feel that I don't feel when I drink Fanta. Okay? And I can't explain it to you. It's emotional for me. Now, that emotional for me has been very carefully calculated by Coca-Cola. It is not accidental. Okay? So they have defined their why, because when you define your why, you go to pick out your tribe. Second, what do you do? Now, I'm sure you're all in very diverse businesses. It would be nice to hear. I'm not sure whether I'm able to pick up the chat from, you know, yes, I can. Um, you know, to hear what businesses that you are in. Yeah. Because then you ask yourself, what do you do? So now I know my why. My why is, like, for me, my why was, I'm very passionate about design and I'm very passionate about art. And I wanted to share that with the world. How did I do that? Through excellent graphic design services and branding services. Yeah. So what problem or pain point does your product or service solve? For me, it was that I found there were a lot of companies that struggle with getting good quality design work done. Okay. And good quality design work should not be defined by the size of your pocket. There are some basic principles about design that should make it easy for anyone to be able to do good quality design work. Yeah. So you need to define, what do you do and what pain point does your service solve? Because sometimes you'll find you've got an excellent idea, but no one wants it or no one needs it. Okay. Um, I can't think of anything at the moment that no one needs, but there are places where you'll find, and that's an evaluation you do. Does my idea, or does my business or my service or my product solve a pain point for a particular person? And the reason that is also important is because you're in the process of creating your tribe, because your product or your service might not necessarily be for everyone. Yeah, it might be for a very particular niche, and so you need to be able to describe who that niche is. Yeah. Third, how do you do it? Your unique way of doing something will go a long way in creating a loyal following. Yeah. You've heard the saying that there's nothing new under the sun. And it's true. Right now in the 21st century, everything has been done and discussed, and all ideas have basically been put out there. But what makes you unique? What makes people keep coming to you? It is your unique way of doing that thing that you do that might be popular, might have a lot of competition, but is unique to you. Okay? So you need to figure out, how do I distinguish myself in the market in how I do this? It could be that you're an accountant. It could be that you're a banker. Have I gone to, I'll give an example of my bank, for instance. I won't mention the bank because sometimes we have fights, but the reason I keep going back is because of their guards. They're the friendliest, most engaging people I've met in my life. They give me such joy when I go there. I'm made to feel like a small president every time I show up there, and they're just genuinely happy to see me, and there's a way that they've been trained to make customers feel fantastic. And it could be that even when you go to a bank, like a banking hall or something. If you have a particular bank you go to, you'll have a particular teller that you like to go to because of the way they do their thing. There's nothing unique about the thing they're doing. It's just in the way that they do it that makes it special for you. And that becomes, you become like their disciple. You're now a loyal follower of that particular brand or product. Fourth, who do you do it for? You want to do business with people who believe in what you believe. And this is why it is so important for you to ask yourself, what do I stand for? You know, when you ask yourself, why am I doing this? What do I stand for? What are my values? You know, once you figure out what your values are, you know, you're a long way in creating your brand values, because your values are the ones that are going to actually say what your brand stands for. Yeah. And that's where your brand personality comes in. Because then once you know what you stand for, like for instance, let's say I'm an easy, laid back individual who loves to do fun design, you know, then my brand personality is never going to be formal, because then there's going to be a disconnect. You see that? So in whatever business that you are in, figure out what your brand, what do you stand for, what your brand values are, so that you can start figuring out what your brand personality should be. And you're going to see why in a little while. Yeah. Now, what elements make up your brand? I'm not sure how many of us have actually ever done a branding process. The branding process is where if you've done a professional branding process, someone sat with you and asked you all of these questions. Who are you? What do you do? How do you do it? Where are you going? What's your plan for the next 5, 10, 15, 30 years? You know, who's your competition? What does your client look like? You know, and that's very, very important. And the reason it's so important is because you're creating that. Remember, I talked about your tribe. Yeah. Once you create your tribe, the reason it's so important to create your tribe is because once you create your tribe, then even when you're doing things like marketing, it is very targeted. You know, your product is not for everyone. Yeah. So let's say you're online, you're doing social media, or you're on Instagram, or you know what your tribe likes because of the brand values that you have and the brand personality that you have built. For instance, let's say I do cakes. Okay. I bake cakes. I like to bake cakes that are quirky, interesting flavors for children's parties. Okay. Then I know that I am targeting this type of a person. I'm targeting maybe young mothers and fathers who are looking for something different or unique for their children. Yeah. There are a number of things that you need to look at, which is I'm jumping all over the place right now. But you need to also look at creating what you call your customer avatar. Now, your customer avatar is the ideal customer for you. So think about your business, and for a minute, just kind of think, who's my ideal customer? They have money, they have taste, they're probably educated, they're male or female, they're this age group, they like to have fun, they like the outdoors. You know, create a personality of your ideal customer. Why? Because that personality, that ideal customer, is the one you're always going to be marketing to. Yeah. So that when you put out your information online, when you put out your marketing ads and your campaigns online, it is targeted, it will call to a certain person. And that person is your ideal customer. Okay. And that's what we call a customer avatar. Now, let's go back to what elements make up your brand. Remember, I said that your brand is how people feel about you. That's the non-tangible part of your brand. Then there's what we call the tangible part of your brand, which is like now your logo. Yeah. What does your logo look like? Is it industry specific? If you look online, Is there a certain style of identities? I'll use the word logo and identities interchangeably. It's the same thing. Is there a certain style that in your industry they use for this? What does your logo tell your ideal customer or your potential customer? Yeah, that's very important. Remember always, because we always have this, sometimes you have this challenge where when someone is coming in for a logo and they say, but I don't like it, or it doesn't suit me. It's not, I don't like it. I don't like the colors. I don't like the way it looks. But always remember, you're not designing for you. You're designing for who? Your customer. Yeah. Does it suit your customer? Does it speak to your customer? Is it efficient? Is it relevant for your market? Is it eye-catching? Is it unique? Those are the things that you have to think about when you're doing logo design, when you're speaking to your designer about logos. Yeah. Ideally, as a graphic designer, I like to say don't make your logo more than 3 colors, mostly because remember, how are you using your logo? Where is it going to be? It's going to be, these are what you call the customer touch points. Yeah. Where is your logo going to be used? It's probably on your business card. It's on your letterhead. It's on your Instagram or your Facebook or your any other social media that you're going to be doing. It might be on billboards. It might be on your vehicles. It might be on the side of the wall of your building. Okay. So when you're designing, design for you need to have thought through where it's going to be used, and then you need to have thought through. Like I tell my clients, always make sure that you have your logo will not lose anything if it is put on a pen. If you put it on a pen, you don't lose any elements of your logo. Okay? That's what a great logo would be. So typically, if you have a full color logo, and I'll show you, let me just jump to that. You see, like now the Apple, when Apple first started, the logo was a full illustration, full illustration, yeah, which might have had its challenges in reproduction when if you need to print it or you need to put it in a on something, it was a problem. Yeah. And then you see the evolution of the logo mpaka it came to its most basic form. And so in the design world, we say a really good logo is simple. It is very, very simple. Yeah. And a good logo needs to not lose any elements when it is reduced to a black and white version. So you see, like the Apple logo is you'll see it anywhere. Even a small child knows the Apple logo when they see it. Okay. Now let me just go back. These are examples of good logos. Nike, Toys R Us, Coca-Cola, McDonald's. They're very, very simple. You'll notice that they don't have any three-dimensional quality to them. They're easy to reproduce. You can embroider it, you can print it, you can screen print it, you can even draw it. It is very, very easy to use and very recognizable. So your logo needs to be something that will be recognizable to your target market. Fonts. This is something that people don't usually talk about, but I thought it's important to talk about. Fonts are very, very important because they actually have a psychological, there's something that fonts will tell your customer. Okay. For instance, if you are a financial institution, you are most probably not going to be using a script-like font. And a script-like font on the first picture is the one that, the slopey, swishy type fonts. You're probably not going to be using that. Why? Because the banking or the financial industry is considered to be, very reserved, very staid, and very upright and very strong and, not funny. So the type of font that you pick or the type of font that your designer picks for you is incredibly important because it will go a long way in telling your ideal customer what you're about. Yeah. If you see these fonts, there's serif and sans serif. Serifs are basically the fonts that have those little curves at the bottom, like the F's and the G's and stuff like that. And the sans serifs don't have them. Now, sans serifs are used basically for banks. They are considered stability, objective, clean, modern. Serifs are traditional, kind of respectable, reliable, comfortable. Yeah. Script is what we use like now for wedding invitations or a female-based organization or something soft. You're looking for elegance, affectionate, creativity. And then we have the modern fonts, which sometimes are a mix between the serifs and the sans serifs and the different font types. So you'll have the strong, progressive, stylish, chic, So you need to think when you're doing design, look at the type of fonts that you've picked. Okay. Actually, go back to your if you've already done your identities, your logos, and everything like that. Just do an objective evaluation of what you have and see whether this resonates with you or whether you need to make any changes. And also it really helps to ask people, especially your customers, because your customers are your tribe, the ones who know you from the outside. Yeah. The other thing that we look at is your color palette. Now, there's something called also the psychology of color. Okay. Different industries have different colors that they use. For instance, banks. I can't see this chat thing, so I'm not sure whether anyone has commented or anything. But basically, if you look at banks, what colors do banks typically use? You have the blues, the grays, blacks, very traditional, formal, cool colors. If you look at this chart that I've just put up, that I got online, you'll see like red is considered for excitement, strength, love, energy. Orange is confidence, success, bravery, sociability. Yellow is creativity, happiness, warmth, cheer. And by the way, like orange, yellow, and red, a lot of the times you find a lot of restaurants, especially fast food restaurants, are designed in those colors, have those colors on their walls. Why? It has been found that oranges and reds will make you feel you will not be comfortable. You're not going to sit there for a long time. Remember, it's a fast food restaurant. They need you to be moving. Kukula na kuenda, yeah, which is to eat and to go. So you find that some of these colors are used in restaurants because they help you move along quicker. Orange and yellow are considered to be colors that enhance appetite. So you're gonna eat a lot more. Yeah. So if you want people to eat a lot in your house, maybe make your dining room orange. That would help. Green is considered a nature color. So you find eco companies or companies that deal in healing or anything foods will use green. Why? It is considered a natural color from nature. Yeah. Pink is compassionate, sincere, sophisticated, and sweet. And it is also considered very, very female. So you'll find a lot of female-based companies might want to use pink, and especially that's their target market. Yeah. If you're targeting women, then you may want to use a shade of pink in your identity. Purple is luxury, royalty, spirituality, ambition. White, clean, simple, honest. So you're going to find a lot of identities nowadays have a lot of white space around them because it is considered, it makes you feel a certain way. Now, remember what I was saying, that sometimes you look at these logos and you look at it and say, gosh, those guys look like they've been here forever. Or, I feel like I can trust those guys. It's not just a feeling you're having, it's a feeling that was put into you. And it was a mixture of the logo, the design, the fonts that were picked, and the colors that were picked. And that's why this stuff is so important. And that's why you need to think through it, even as a small business owner or whatever type of business that you have. Yeah. Next is the tone. What kind of language do you use to talk to your customer? Do you remember when I talked about creating a customer avatar? Yeah. Now that avatar, like for instance, let's say I'm in the business of, let's say I sell cars and I sell sports cars. Okay. Who's my ideal client? My ideal client is probably going to be young because, sports cars are for young people, and also people in midlife crisis. Um, I will maybe probably male or female. Probably they have a good income, so they're professionals, which means they've had up to this level of education. Maybe I would like my avatar to be male. I want to sell more to males or more to females. You pick. Yeah. Um, they like to go out. I want my car to be an accessory for them. Okay, when they buy a car from me, which reminds me of something else. So when I'm selling sports cars, I'm not just in the business of selling sports cars. I'm selling a lifestyle. I want someone to look at my cars and think, I really want to drive that car. If I drive that car, I will feel like I have reached. It will give me it is going to be a status symbol. Yeah. Now, if I decide, and all of this now is you're building your avatar. And if I decide that's what I want, then I need to decide what kind of language will appeal to that kind of person. And that's what the tone is. Yeah. Is it fun? Is it serious? Is it laid back? Is it um formal? Is it, you know, what kind of, how am I speaking to them in a way that they will hear me and that they will connect with me? Okay. Now, this is important also when you're doing your marketing, because when you go now to when you're going to do your campaigns, your online campaigns and things like that, you're going to need to figure out, who am I speaking to? Am I speaking their language? Yeah. For instance, if you sell, let's say, toys, or you're selling an app for children or for young people, you're not going to use a formal bank type tone in how you communicate, because you're just not going to get your target market. They're not going to feel you. Yeah. So you might have gotten everything else right. You might have gotten your imagery right. You might have gotten your typography, which is your fonts, right? But your tone is off. What would young people want? They want maybe something playful. Maybe they want someone who uses their type of language. If it's the Sheng, or if, let's say, you're doing something for our local market, you know, it needs to be fun. It needs to be something that, and you want it maybe to be also educational. Yeah. So this chart is a really good chart to explain to you how to create your voice. Okay. Um, your layout, lastly. When you're looking in advertising, like when you're creating your ads and stuff like that, are you using consistent layouts, or are you just every time you do something new? So when someone goes to your social media page, it feels like it was created by 15 different people. That's usually a problem. Now, all of these small things, what they do is they actually take away from your brand equity. You put all of these things together because you're trying to create a language, a tribe, a place that people connect with you. What people say, yeah, I saw that ad, I knew immediately it was those guys, or I know they like to use a lot of purple in their ads, or this is the type of fonts that, their fonts are always fun and happy and, and cartoonish. So that when I see something that does not have that, I'll be like, that doesn't feel like them. And what that does in my mind is then I start thinking, gosh, can I really trust these people? I feel like maybe I can't trust them. They're all over the place, and that's why this consistency is so, so important. Okay. What else about the tone? Okay, so we've spoken about like now the words that you use. Think about even the words that you use. How do you describe the words that you use? Are you going to say things like, like this? I picked this up from Skype, the current image on your screen, and it's part of their brand manual. They're actually very, very deliberate about the words that they want to use and the words that they don't want to use. Yeah. And this is because they don't want to use jargon. If you're Toastmaster, you know what jargon is, where you use a very long, complicated word when you could have used a simpler one, maybe because it makes you feel or look a certain way. Yeah. Skype they're very clear that they don't want to use jargon. They don't want to use words like telephony or peer-to-peer or bill. They want to use words that their people can connect with, like share, calls, whole world, free. Simple, short words. When you're creating a brand, you need to even think through those kind of things, because then your tribe will show up because they recognize the language that you're using. Yeah. This is, I picked a couple of Nike ads. You'll notice that even without the logo, if you moved the logo, you would kind of know that that is Nike. Why? The fonts that they've used, the style of image, the single image, clean background, very solid fonts. They use very particular fonts. There's a way they do that. And so if you go to their social media, you will notice that it is very consistent. So you have to strive to keep your brand consistent, because when your brand is consistent, your customer trusts you. Okay? If you don't give the market the story to talk about, they'll define your brand story for you. Yeah. Let me get out of this screen sharing so that I can see your chats, your comments, if you have any. So maybe what I would ask, if I asked you to describe your brand or your company or your organization, or if it's your personal brand, in 3 words, what 3 words would you use to describe yourself? If you can just type it out real quick on the chat, I'm interested to hear what people would say. Yeah. Once you put that down, then later, of course, you'll do this later. Go ask those 3 or 4 trusted customers what 3 words they'd use to describe you, because that will tell you whether you need to do some work on your current brand. Okay. The other thing I would ask you to do is take a look at your current logo, evaluate it, ask yourself, if I put it on a wall, do I lose anything? If I put it on a car, do I lose anything? If I put it on a pen, do I lose anything? Yeah. If I decided to, I'm putting my brand like here, do I lose anything? Does my icon need to be removed? So I just use the words only. Yeah. Which has reminded me of something I need to tell you. So logos come in 2 types. You can either do an icon, which is like, I'm trying to find something on my desk that has an icon. You can have an icon, which is like a sign. It's an image or something. Or you can have a word-based logo, which is like now, a good example is actually Nike. Nike has the swish, which is their icon, and then they have Nike, the way they write Nike, which is their word-based logo. Yeah. Now they can use the swish just on their shirts, and you will immediately know that that's Nike. And they can use the word on its own, and you will know that that's them because of the font that they've used. Yeah. Now the advantage that they have is they have a lot of money to keep putting those things in front of you, mpaka it is embedded in your brain. So what do you do as a small business owner without that kind of a budget to make sure that your brand remains top of mind? One of the things that you have to do is you have to remain consistent. So once you've done your graphic design or your logo design and things like that, you pick a set of fonts also that you use consistently, whether it's in your emails or in your any communication. If you're doing ads, make sure you are consistent in how your brand looks. Okay? Because once you're consistent like that, over time, people start trusting the brand because it always looks the same. Okay? Also, be very clear about who you're selling to. Who's my market? Yeah? Is it the 20 to 30 age group? Is it the males? Is it the females? Is it the church going guys? Is it the clubbers? Is it, who am I selling? Who's my product for? Also, you must be consistent about being clear about keeping your brand promise. What is your brand promise? Your brand promise is this. I'm saying this is who I am and this is what I am about. Yeah. I am about giving people excellent design services. So the minute I don't do that, I am selling myself short, because then my customers will say, this time it was a hit, last time it was a miss. I don't know, really can't trust them to do a good job. You don't want to be that guy. Yeah. And I'm not saying that every time you make a promise, you keep it if it kills you. Well, that's good. But you also need to be the kind of guy who says, whatever I say, my word is my bond. Yeah. That what I say is what I am going to give you. And if I'm not going to give it to you, then I'm going to tell you that I'm not going to give it to you. Okay? That is how authentic brands are built. And anyone can do that, from your mama mboga person to the big financial institution. Yeah. I'll give an example of there's a lady I buy my vegetables from. She has probably never gone for a branding class in her life, but she understands her product, she understands her customer, and her customer service is out of this world. Okay? She will always make sure that I get the best products from her, always. And if there's ever a problem, she's very quick to fix it, because problems happen. She's very quick to fix it. It sounds odd talking about these things, especially when we talk about branding. But these are some of the things that actually create your brand. Because remember, what is your brand? Your brand is what people say about you. So it's not what you tell people about you. There's that, you tell them, this is what I would like you to say about me. But there's actually what they will say about you when you're not in the room. What do they say about you? Yeah. And if you're consistent about your language and how you present yourself and your imagery, if you align all of those things, then your brand is just going to grow from strength to strength. And always create a brand that you're going to grow into, not out of. So that create a brand that is bigger than you. When you're dreaming of this brand that you want to create, make sure it's bigger than you, so that you're growing into it over a number of years. So you don't find that, oh, we thought so small that 2 years down we need to do a rebrand. You know, that would work, because then it means then you didn't think big enough, or you grew so fast, which is also great, that you need to do a rebrand. But always keep your brand in mind. Remember when I showed you the plain cup and the branded cup? That's who you are. That's what we all are. Yeah. You have the option of being that guy who is like everyone else, or that girl who's like everyone else, or you have the option of having a look and feel and tone and attitude that keeps your people still coming back to you no matter what happens. And that, in a nutshell, is what branding would be for entrepreneurs. I hope you've learned something. Let me know in the chats whether there is anything you'd like to ask me regarding branding tips, or if there's something you want me to address for you. But I hope that you've taken something of value from this, whether you're an existing brand, you're building one, or you're an older brand. I hope that this has been useful for you. Caroline.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Kanyi, why you're saying you hope. What do you mean you hope? We have learned so much. We have learned so much. We've learned about, in fact, when you speak, you remind me so much about the speaker who spoke about customer experience the last time, because you focus so much about our customers, knowing and understanding who they are so that our brand speaks to them and not just to ourselves. We're not speaking inwards, we're speaking outwards to this tribe. I love that word, tribe, the tribe. I think that's just an amazing thing to pick up and run with. If there's some comments in the chat as well that I found very interesting. Marion is saying, asking our clients what they think about our brand, service, or product is an excellent idea. It's scary, but it's excellent. So indeed, you've challenged us to go out there and ask our customers and also see whether our brand visuals can fit within a specific dimension, which is homework. You've given homework for us to go and do. Arun Hicks is saying, this has been amazing. Well done, Kanyi. Short, precise, and clear. And Richard is asking a question. What factors would prompt a business or entrepreneur to consider rebranding? I know you've talked about growing into and not growing out of, but what else can you speak into that question?
That's an excellent question, Richard. So what do you consider when you're considering a rebranding? Now, a lot of people, when they're looking at a rebranding, they feel like, oh, maybe we don't like the logo. Yeah. But a rebranding is much, much more than that. A rebranding is a changing of your company culture. You're saying, I don't like maybe the way that we run, or I don't like the culture that we have built over time. Yeah. And I feel like we need to change direction. Or we've gone into a new space of business, and our old brand no longer encompasses or covers that. That is when you consider a rebrand. You could be an existing company that maybe you're still selling the same product and service, but you feel like your company culture has changed. Yeah. So, or you want to be very deliberate about creating a new culture. Yeah. So you'll do that. You'll do a rebrand where you will change probably the identity, which is your logo, or tweak it also, not completely change it, because sometimes you also don't want to lose your brand equity. Your brand equity is that value that you have built over time. Yeah. Or you want, and then you also have to kind of, your people, your team, they're your brand ambassadors. Yeah. You could change your logo and not change anything else, and it will be a flop. Okay. You need to also sit down with your team and say, this is where professional help comes in, because you get people who come in and tell you about how to build a new brand strategy, or creating a new culture. How do you do that? You need to speak to your people. You need to show them or tell them or discuss with them the direction that you now want to go. Yeah. You might find that maybe your current brand does not capture your new market. That means you need to rebrand so that you can go to capture the new market, which means you need to look at them and see, what do they like? Who are they? So that you're creating a new tribe. So I think those are some of the factors that you would consider when you're considering a rebrand, but it is not just a logo redesign. Yeah.
Right. Great response there. Purity is saying she loves that slide that was breaking down the perceptions associated with different colors. I think that has also been a great learning for us, because we just slap on colors because we feel a certain way. I like this color. I'm from this community. I love my yellows. And so I slap on yellow onto everything without really thinking through, what does this mean for our customers? What does this mean for my brand? Yeah. So that has been quite a learning. And the last thing I want to ask is, people talk about brands and they think about big brands. How can we as smaller brands, make ourselves brands? When people talk about brands, they think about those brands you have shown us, Coca-Cola and Nike. We smaller SMEs and entrepreneurs and business people and consultants, we don't feel like we are brands. Is that a myth?
Yes and no. The reason I say yes and no is because, the stuff that we've just gone through is exactly what even the big companies do, except they do it with a bigger budget. Yeah. So even you as a small entrepreneur, as a small business, as a cottage industry type business, will do the same work. Yeah. And we're very lucky we live in the age of technology where you can go online and actually literally look up brands that are similar to what you want to do. Yeah. And then pick your ideas from there. Because if you do that, you are then what you're going to be creating is something that actually will also stand on a global platform. You want to create a brand that not only stands here, but is able to stand on a global platform. Remember, because now we are just a global village, yeah? With social media and technology, your market is literally anywhere in the world. So you can't create something that is only understood here. You need to create something that will be understood everywhere. So yes, it doesn't matter what size. You are a one-man show, you can create an excellent brand. Just think through all of those things.
Right. And that is very encouraging. We are creating global brands. We are thinking big. The world has become this village. It's not even a village, it's a dot. It's a small
Yes.
dot, and we are all circling around that dot. More comments from the chat. Well, I've learned so much from Anastasia, from Marion. Thank you, Kanyi. I've enjoyed the session. Great session. It's just an outpouring of great feedback from the learners. We call them learners because we are learning and we're in learning mode. And this is a customer education forum.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Kanyi. Can you believe our 1 hour is up? I can't.
I
We feel
know.
like we want to continue to drink and drink from your fountain of branding knowledge and creative knowledge and customer experience, excellent knowledge, which is coming through quite strongly. But we need to end it there. Lunch is served. It has been a 7-course meal, complete with dessert at the top. We want to thank you so much for coming and for sharing. Please put in the chat how we can find you. How can people look you up?
Yes. Okay.
Yes, so that we can ask our branding questions and follow you up for professional advice, which all the people on the page will be happy to pay for, because this kind of knowledge does not just come like that. We'll be happy to send business your way. As well, the people on this call, please, if you need any capitalization for your business, if you need any money, we are the lending hand. We don't only lend money, we lend knowledge, we lend business advisory. Come to us. We are a lender with a difference, and we care. We absolutely care for our customers to be able to serve you fantastic meals such as this. And so would love to end. Before we end, Kanyi, your parting shot so that we may tie this up nicely with a bow. You're used to tying things up nicely. Please tie this up nicely with a bow and we can set everybody off to enjoy their afternoon.
Okay, I guess this would be dessert, right?
Yes.
My parting shots will be, first of all, stay hungry, stay curious, stay authentic, and build great brands.
Right. And nothing further to add on top of that delicious dessert. Thank you, everybody, for coming and for sharing with us your time. Time is precious. Thank you, Kanyi, for being here. We wish you all a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful weekend, and most importantly, let us all stay safe. We cannot create great brands if we are not safe. Keep safe for ourselves and for others too. And with that, we will close this presentation. Goodbye, everyone, and God bless you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.